Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Blackwing budget build. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck uses 3 of the legendary 5D'S decks to make one amazing Blackwing deck that you can play right out of the box. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Simoon. Simoon is an amazing 3-of in the build that basically helps us get to a copy of Black Whirlwind. With the ability to control no monsters and you have this card in your hand, you can manage one of their Blackwing monsters in your hand to place a Black Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. Then either send this card to the graveyard or to immediately after effect resolves, you get to normal summon it without tributing, which is such a cool ability because it doesn't even take up your normal summon because Simoon's normal summoning itself off its own effect, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Sudri. Sudri is an amazing 3-of as well, because this card is either when this card is normal summon, you can actually add a card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand. Except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to search out the exact card that we need. Also, you can tribute a monster to special summon a Phantom Glimmer token that's a Wing Beast, Tuner Dark, level 2, 700 attack, and 700 defense points. Then you take 700 points of damage, which is an amazing ability to instantly get a Tuner token on your side of the field, so you can go for some synchro plays. We then play 3 copies of Vada. Vada is crazy powerful as a 3-of, because this card basically lets us synchro summon using monsters in our deck. Tell us going for a Blackwing Dragon, which is absolutely insane. Plus, if you have a Blackwing monster on your side of the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. We then play 3 copies of Shamal. Shamal is an amazing card in this deck as well because you actually send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place a Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. And if a Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your field, while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card and then target a Blackwing monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand, then take 700 points of damage, which whenever you're damaged in this deck, you can actually eat the damage with Blackwing Dragon, which is amazing. We then play 2 copies of Chinook. Chinook is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card is basically a hand trap, letting you negate your opponent's monster effects. We then play a single copy of Chris the Crack of Dawn. Chris is really good as an extender in this deck, because this card is if you control a Blackwing monster other than a copy of Chris, you can special summon this card from the hand, and also the first time this card would be destroyed by a spell or trap effect each turn, it is not destroyed. We then play a single copy of Bora the Spear. Bora is great and my favorite Blackwing in the entire game, and definitely comment down below what your favorite Blackwing is as well. But this card is super cool to be able to play because it can special summon itself from the hand if you control another Blackwing monster, and also it does piercing damage. We then play a single copy of Hamaten. Hamaten is great because this card can special summon itself from your hand if you control another Blackwing monster, and also when this card is normally special summoned, you can actually target one of their Blackwing monster you control and increase this card's level by that monster's level, giving the exact level you need to help you go in for your synchro plays. We then play a single copy of Shurunga. Shurunga is great as an extender in the build because this card can special summon itself to your side of the field and also helps you pop cards on the field, which is amazing. We play a single copy of Orochi. Orochi is really good in the build just to basically help you go in for your synchro plays because this card can special summon itself to your side of the field if you control another Blackwing monster, plus this card is a level 1 tuner. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is an amazing 3-of in the build to basically just stop the opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll is amazing as a 3-of in the build as well because this card basically stops the opponent from touching the deck for the rest of the turn. We then play 3 copies of Molcharmy Fluros. Fluros is amazing in this build to help us dig in the deck for the exact card that we need. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great in this deck to basically just stop your opponent's hand traps. We then play a single copy of Crosshead Designator. Crosshead Designator is amazing as well to again basically stop your opponent's hand traps, which is super cool to be able to play in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Black Feather Whirlwind. This card is searchable off the effect of Shamal, but it's really cool to be able to play in the deck as a 2-up, because this card is basically a monster reborn that once per turn, if you special summon a Dark Synchro monster from your extra, you can actually target one of your Blackwing monsters or a Blackwing dragon that's banished from the graveyard with less attack than the special summon monster and special summon it, which is such a cool ability to instantly bring our Blackwing monsters to our side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. Black Whirlwind is what the entire deck revolves around. This card is so important to be able to get to, because when a Blackwing monster is normal summoned to your field, you can actually add a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with less attack than that monster, which is amazing because these cards actually stack and they're not once per turn, so it's very easy to actually normal summon multiple times in a turn in this deck. Off the effect of Shamal, nothing, and off your normal summon for turn. You can normal summon usually about 3 times a turn, which is absolutely insane to get you multiple searches off of Black Whirlwind. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Blackwing Twin Shadow. Twin Shadow is great as a 1-0 in the build, as this card lets you shuffle 2 of your Blackwing monsters that's a tuner and a non-tuner as banished or in the graveyard into the deck or the extra deck, and then special summon a Blackwing Synchro monster or a Blackwing dragon from the extra deck, whose levels equal the total levels of the 2 monsters, and it's treated as a Synchro summon. And if you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can actually activate this card from your hand, which is such a cool ability. We then play a single copy of Blackbird Close. Blackbird Close is such a cool 1-0 in the build that's just a really good counter trap to basically stop your opponent's plays. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-0 in the build to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Blackwing Dragon. This card is so cool, and you definitely have to play the chibi art in this build because it's included in the legendary 5D'S decks. But this card is so important for our combos and such a cool boss monster to be able to summon out to your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Blackwing Assault Dragon. Blackwing Assault Dragon is one of my favorite synchro monsters ever created, as this card is so easy to summon. This card is ability must either be synchro summoned or special summoned for the extra deck by banishing a tuner synchro monster and a Blackwing dragon from face up from your field and or graveyard. So basically if you make 1 of this card, you can always make 2, which is amazing. Also, each time your opponent activates a monster effect, you place a black feather counter on this card when that effect resolves, and if you do, inflict 700 points of damage to your opponent. And during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can actually tribute this card with 4 more black feather counters on it and destroy all cards on the field, which is so awesome. We then play 2 copies of Blackwing Full Armor Master. Full Armor Master is such a powerful boss monster that has 4 amazing abilities that's unaffected by other card effects. Each time your opponent's monster activates an effect, you place a wedge counter on that opponent's monster. When that effect resolves, once per turn, you can actually target a monster that your opponent controls with a wedge counter on it and take control of it. And once per turn during your end phase, you can actually destroy all the monsters on the field that have wedge counters on them, which is such a cool ability to be able to use. We then play a sealed copy of Silverwind the Ascendant. Silverwind the Ascendant is just a really good option that you can make in the build just in case you want to be able to pop cards on the field. And play a sealed copy of Blackwing Armor Master. Blackwing Armor Master is such a classic card and a really cool 1-up to be able to summon in this deck that has the ability cannot be destroyed by a battle, and you take no damage from battles involving this card. And at the end of the damage step, if this card attacked a monster, you can place a wedge counter on that monster. You can also remove all wedge counters from monster opponent control, and the attacking events of those monsters that had wedge counters on them become 0 until the end of the turn, making it very easy to OTK your opponent. We then play 2 copies of Nothing. Nothing basically gives us an additional normal summon, which is so cool and also burns the opponent for 800 points of damage and reduces an opponent's monster's attack points down by 800, which is really cool. We then played 2 copies of Boreas Storm. Boreas Storm is really good as a 2-up, as this card can actually level modulate, so we can go in for a copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon. When this card has the ability of its actually synchro summon, you can send a Blackwing monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the same as the monster sent to the graveyard, which is a pretty cool ability to be able to use to basically just send a level 2 monster to the graveyard, and then make this card a level 2, so you can synchro summon this card with Blackwing Dragon into your copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon, and then simply banish both of them from the graveyard to summon out a second copy of Blackwing Assault Dragon, which is insane. And then finally play a single copy of Blackwing Armed Wing. This card is just really cool to be able to play and actually does piercing damage to the opponent and gains 500 attack points when it attacks a defensive monster. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Blackwing deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially since we got all the cards you basically need for this deck out of the legendary 5D'S decks, which is such a cool product to actually have to build 3 amazing decks: Synchron, Blackwings, and Black Rose. So, let's get into this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can come part of notifications. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.